So all right, gardeners, here we are. It's our very first garden journal of 2024, and I'm really excited about this gardening season. Today, we're gonna sow out some of our pepper seeds here. I'll talk about some seed starting mix that we use here in our gardens, and also our seed lighting station that we have here indoors, because all these peppers are gonna have to grow indoors for the next few months until we can get them outside when it's warm enough. So let's get growing. So as I mentioned, the first thing we're going to do for our growing season is select some varieties of peppers that we want to grow out in our garden this year. Now I've got many different varieties of peppers here that I've collected over the years. Lots from one of our favorite seed companies, Baker Creek. Some that I've picked up at different garden centers that I've gone to, that, just different seeds that I've wanted to do. Plus even we've tried out some seeds from the dollar store even with these cayennes. But where the real treasures in our seed collection are from our different friends and growers that we've had seeds sent to us or traded seeds with, like our good friend King Star. I've got a few different varieties of his, and some from Jimmy Pickles at JP Peppers that we've got some there. Good friend Brandon and other people who have sent me some really great varieties of peppers. So we are going to choose a handful of different varieties that we can grow in our garden this year. I've got tons here, as you can see, but we can't grow them all. So here comes the tough part of all of the growing season, is to actually select the handful of varieties that we're actually going to grow. This year, I want to grow plenty of sweet peppers and different varieties of sweet peppers that I can really use and enjoy myself. We will, do some of these really, really hot varieties too, just to kind of have fun with them and grow those out. We'll try to give some to our friends and see if they might enjoy some of those really super hot peppers. But for the most part, we're going to grow mostly what we're going to use ourselves. So I'm going to select out a few of these. Now, let's go make some seed starting soil mix in order to plant all of these out. So for many years now, I have been ordering my coco coir in these 10-pound bricks online and using those for our seed starting mix. But this last year, finally, I was able to source some coco coir locally at one of my garden centers. They stock this down to earth. Look at the size of this thing. This is a bale of coco coir, not a brick of coco coir like we were ordering before. And that kind of presents its own problem. So I've been thinking about, what do I do here in order to break this down? I thought maybe what I could do is get a saw and saw it in half, but I think that's just going to be just a little bit more work than what we really need to do. I've got this container that we usually soak our bricks in, just a basic storage container. So I think we'll just continue to use that, but what we'll do is we'll put some water in the container, and then we'll just take this big, huge bale and put it right down in there and let it soak up the water and see if we can't break off pieces of this as it go along. But yeah, this is gonna be a lot of coco coir. So all right, now for the fun part. We've got all of our coco coir, or at least the amount we're gonna need for this first batch of soil starting mix. And it's not an exact science at all. I just really kind of eyeball a lot of this myself over the years. But just to get you started, if this is your first batch, do about 3 parts of our coco coir here, with about 1 part of the worm castings, and then another part of the vermiculite, And this year, what I'm going to do is add in about a cup of this bone meal to our seed starting mix, and that should give our seedlings a really great start. So now, after a good amount of mixing and turning this soil with all of its different ingredients there, the worm castings, the vermiculite, the bone meal, and our cocoa coir, now we have this just really nice seed starting mix. So you can see just perfect for getting our seeds started. And it's just that simple. That's all you need to do. And you got yourself some really nice do-it-yourself at-home seed starting mix. Now it's time to get planting. So after making some hard choices about which varieties we're going to grow this year, I think that we've broken it down to about 24. I know it's still quite a bit, but it's really hard to choose what not to grow when you have so much variety in what you've got to choose from out of all of our different seeds that we've collected over the years. Now again, all of these that I'm growing are seeds that I've collected from previous years. I haven't bought anything new in the last couple of seasons, which brings me down to my two favorites that I grew the last couple of years that I really want to make sure that I'm growing this year, and that's the Lesia variety and the Etuda variety of peppers that are on selection at Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. I really enjoyed these peppers. Probably out of all of the different peppers I grew in the last couple of years, those were the best. I just found out, though, I don't have any seeds for them left because we've grown them all out over the last couple of seasons. So now I got to make sure I get online and order them and have them coming here in the next couple of days. So I'll have to add these to all of our peppers that we're going to be planting out and sowing today later on, but they are must-haves for my garden. I've got to have them. We chose a couple of others that we've grown over the years, and I'm going to be testing some old seed again too. I've got these from 2019, Dos des Landes. Just one of the most amazing sweet peppers. It grows long, kind of like a big cayenne, but really deep red and just really delicious. One of the sweetest peppers you'll ever eat. So I want to see if we can't get some of those out of some older seed that we have. And the oldest seed, I think, out of all of this is all the way back from 2016 when I grew a really great crop of the super heavyweights. Now these are just basically a big giant green bell pepper, and I mean they just get humongous. So we're going to test these seeds I've got from all the way back then and see if we can't get some good viable plants out of that and see where we go with those. And my favorite of all of the hotter varieties, the Sugar Rush Peach. So we'll grow some Sugar Rush Peach, and I've had these seeds now for a few years as well too, and just really looking forward to growing those, as well as a bunch of really other great varieties. We've got a couple of hot varieties from Kang Star, our friend and pepper grower, who sent us these seeds a couple seasons ago, so we'll be growing those. I've got some essential cayennes and serranos, and of course we've got to have the poblanos. I love our poblanos, so we'll be growing some of those, as well as some Anaheims. I've got chocolate habaneros in there for some hot ones, and I'm going to grow these again. We didn't grow them last year, but the year before we grew the Primatali, which is really one of the hottest peppers in the world. So yeah, these should be some great varieties here. Hopefully we get some good luck out of some of these older seeds that we've got. And we just have to add those other really great varieties here in a few days after we get all of these sown out today. So now it's time to get all of that seed starting mix that we mixed up, put those into our seed cells, and start planting all of these peppers out and get them up underneath of our indoor lights at our light station. I'll show you here in just a few minutes. So before we get to sowing out all of our pepper varieties here, I want to show you the graph that I use to keep track of all of our seedlings. Now we use these 72 cell seed trays to sow out all of our seeds. And as you can see here, we've got a square for each of our cells in the tray, 72 in total. And the first thing that I do actually is we go up to the upper left-hand corner and we mark down on the actual tray which number of tray that it is to correspond with our individual trays. And what I do is we label out by number each of our varieties that we're going to sow out into the tray there. You can see we've got 4 varieties here, and then I just put a number at the top to correspond with the different varieties that we're growing. And then I just kind of put an arrow here to show that it's filling out each of our rows. So we've got the 4 different varieties. Now say number 1, we actually had 9 seeds. So what I would do then is I would go 1 and I would put a line all the way through, and then we'd put 1, 1 to show 9, and then we would start with number 2 right there. So we would label each individual one if there are different varieties in individual rows. So this is a nice, easy way to keep track of all of the different varieties that we're sowing out today into our 72 cell trays. And then when these germinate and grow to the point we're going to pot them up, we'll select our best varieties of peppers, and those will get potted up, and then we will put new labels on each of them. So that saves us all of the work of having to label out each individual tray in our 72 cell trays, and helps us keep really good track of all of the different peppers that we're sowing out. So as we're putting our seeds into our seed tray, we just want to drop them into each of our holes and kind of get them in about 1/4 inch down, and then kind of lightly pack the soil around them. And then we'll water all of these down here before we put them into our light station here in just a few minutes. Now I do just want to mention real quick though too about seed saving when it comes to peppers. Peppers cross really easily, and as you can see, I'm growing 24 different varieties, and we have a lot of these different varieties growing right next to each other in our earth wicking buckets that we use outdoors. So it's easy for these pepper varieties to cross with each other. Now I've had some volunteers grow up from crosses that I've tried and had before, and just never really getting the varieties or what I want when it comes to plants. There's nothing like growing a plant all out from seed and then not getting the variety that you want ultimately. So I don't save seeds from the peppers that I grow in my garden because of those sort of issues with crossing. I get my new seeds each and every year, or like we're doing now, we're planting older seed that came fresh to me as well. Now, I could isolate different pepper pods and go through the trouble that it takes in order to make sure that I'm getting the variety and able to save seeds. But that's just a little bit of extra work for me, and I don't bother with that because I try so many new varieties each year, or I try different things each year when it comes down to it. I just get my seeds fresh. So, like with that Etuda and the Lessias that we're going to get coming here in just a few days to add to our collection, we'll put those in when it comes time, and we'll have nice, fresh, new varieties instead of trying to save those seeds each year and then maybe coming up with a mystery variety of peppers. One other thing, though, too, when it comes to that, is that growing them next to each other that season isn't going to change or affect the peppers that you're growing that season. So, growing a hot pepper next to a sweet pepper isn't going to make one of those sweet or hot in that same season, but they might cross with each other. So, if you save the seeds from each of those varieties, you might have something just a little sweeter or hotter than what you thought you were going to get next season. So there we go. We've got all of our pepper seed varieties sown out into our 3 72 cell trays here. Got about 22 varieties here, I think. And then we're going to add those couple more here as soon as we get the seeds in the mail in the next few days. But one thing to remember about peppers and pepper seeds, they take a while to germinate. Some of them can take up to 4 or more weeks. I've had them take well over a month or so in the past. So sometimes you just got to wait on some of them. But a good way to speed up some germination is to get some of these heat mats here. And these heat mats will warm these trays up, get them up a nice, 70 or 70 to 80 some degrees here. And that'll really warm up all of these trays and get these seeds to speed up their germination a little bit. They like to be nice and warm. So if you got a nice warm place in the house, we'll do just fine if you don't have any seed mats. But again, just be prepared that some of them might take just a little while longer to germinate. You could soak your seeds overnight too, might be another way to help get some good germination. But we'll be looking forward to seeing all the different varieties that we've sown here and see them all popping up in the next few weeks. Now a little bit about this light station that I've got here. I built this thing, I think, well over 10 years ago. I got the idea from Gary Pilarchik, the Rusted Garden, one of his early videos years and years ago. He had a small version of this that he built. So I just kind of got the idea. I had already had this table, so I thought, what I would do is build these PVC pipes. These are 1-inch pipes, and then we've taken like some corner attachments, and then we've got here that go 3 ways to kind of direct these so that it could stand up around and framed around the table. And it's just a little bit over 4 feet as our shop lights here that we use for our lighting are 4-foot shop lights. And then we have them hanging here from these I hooks and these S hooks here with the chain, just kind of holding those up so we can adjust them up and down as our seedlings are growing. We want our seedlings to be nice and close to the light when they start to germinate. So we'll actually have these down even just a little bit lower than this. So I'm able to do that with the chain there. And then we use, these are T12s. So we use a T12 bulb here. We are switching over our fluorescents that we have to LEDs as we need to change them out. So that's one of the things that we're doing as well. You can just get LEDs that fit right into these shop lights, and they give us just enough output. I think we get around 4,000 lumens. So we're getting some good lumen value. Again, having them nice and close, especially with the LEDs being a lot cooler. We can have them just right up onto those seedlings and get them some really good amount of light. And just for seedlings, and as we're getting started, that's going to be plenty of light. And again, we've got just eye hooks, the same kind of attached into our table here with some more lights down below. I've got some onion starts we started just a few weeks ago. And yeah, this is a pretty nice setup. It's nice and simple, not too expensive to put together. I believe the shop lights were around 12, 15 bucks a piece. And then the PVC altogether, I probably spent, you know, maybe 20 bucks or so. And then actually the more expensive things is these things. These can run about $1, a couple dollars a piece even, depending on what kind of joint they are. But yeah, not too bad. So we'll be looking to see all of our starts here coming up here in just the next few weeks. So there you have it. We've got all of our seeds all sown into our cell trays there. They're tucked in underneath of the lights in our light station. We should be expecting to see these seedlings sprout and germinate in the next few weeks. And remember, it could take a little while for some of the other ones there too, but they should be coming up here in no time and getting us started with all of our outdoor gardening that we're going to be doing this coming season. The peppers are always a great way to get everything started. I mean, even though we did sow some onions before, but this is really a great start to our growing season, and I'm really excited to see all the different varieties as they start coming up. But again, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, and if you haven't, hit the subscribe button as well, and follow along with more of our garden journals as we continue to grow on this year. And be sure to share with all of your friends. Now, I know last year we didn't really get off to a good start with our garden journals and ended up not doing too many videos, but it is a goal of mine for this year to make sure that we are keeping up as best I can. We got a lot of things going on with our weekend show and everything else, but I do really like sharing the garden season as we're growing along with these garden journals. I'm going to try to put out, as you'll see with the seed starting soil, little separate do-it-yourself kind of smaller, shorter videos on those sort of things out of some of the stuff that we're doing along the way this year as well too. But that all together should hopefully build up some good content for all of us to follow along with here too. Is we're going to really have a great growing season with everything we've got going on here at the Urban Gardener. So I do really encourage you, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Definitely do so. We're gonna have a really great season, and keep following along with us, and I'll see you all on our very next video. Work. Just gonna have to work here. And before we get all of these sewn, that's not gonna work. To our very first garden journal of 20. Look away. And we did kind of cut the. All right, let's try that again. We're gonna need to get some seed soil starting mix. Seed soil starting mix. That's not, that's not. Out of the 72 ounce. Well, that's a bummer. 72 ounce, yeah. First, before we get growing, we need, you want to be in the video too, don't you? Yeah, you want to be in the video too, don't you? See something on the camera? Yeah? Yeah? No? You got nothing to say now that you're on camera, huh? Yeah, like that. That'll work.